Hello, all. So, today I'm going to talk about the Google Document AI. And this Google Document I have found it to be a very convenient solution to extract structured data from various kinds of documents, be it invoices, contracts. It can extract data from the tables as well as structured data outside the tables in a key value pair. So, Google Document AI has been trained on many such structured documents, unstructured documents like invoices, various kinds of forms. So, what is Google Document AI? It is little different from the Google Cloud Vision AI in the sense that it has been trained to get data from these kind of sources like invoices, various kinds of forms. It's specially trained for specific forms like the tax return forms in the US W4 and all that. But it also has a generic form processor which can extract data from various types of tables and wherever there is data in the forms of tables and table headers and all such things. It could be invoices, it could be contracts, and it gives a value nicely. Whatever tabular data it can extract based on the tables in the document, it will show that in a tabular format, and whatever data it can extract as key value pairs, it will show that. So if we need to know what is Google Document AI, so we can just check Google Document AI, and we'll see the first link that we see is this one, where it's described what is Google Document AI. And in order to check it out, as we can see quickly, without any code, a no code approach, we can just drop our invoice or contract, whatever document we have in the PDF format, into this place, and we can see what data we are getting back from Google Document AI. So as we can see here, it can be a form 1040, which is a specific type of form, or the US driver license, etc. But it can also be a generic form person, and we can choose that. If we are just trying to do a document OCR without any form parser, we can choose that. Or if we think that our document has a form like appearance with tables and all, we should select the form parser. So there are various options which are being added almost very regularly, and one needs to check this to see what forms have been added in the list of options. The only one thing I've seen here is 2 points here. It can take the documents in a variety of formats, including directly PDF documents. We don't need to convert the PDF to an image. And the other important thing I've seen here is that the PDFs cannot be very lengthy. It's better to uh, split the PDFs into 5 pages each, and then drop it here so it can extract. Because once I remember, I was trying with a long PDF which has many pages. So we got this exception saying the number of pages exceeds the uh, maximum allowed and things like that. Otherwise, this is a quick way of checking it out. But then how do we use this in a API, and how do we extract the data from the forms is what I'm trying to show today. So for that, the first important thing is to set up the Google Document AI, and for that we need to go to console.cloud.google.com and set up our Google Cloud Console, a project, create a project, set up the authentication. This basically means, we set up the billing, we set up a authentication, which means basically a JSON file, authentication JSON file will be downloaded and sitting in our um, local machine. And once we do that, we can enable the API, document API. Now, once we enable the document AI API, there's another step which is very important, which is basically how do we select the particular processor. That is important, because I face this problem. uh, when I didn't know, I was selecting the generic document uh, OCR processor, but that works good for normal documents. But if there is a tabular data which we are trying to read, from the invoice or the contract or whatever the document we have, then this document OCR will not work, and we'll have to choose the form parser while creating the processor, right? So that is very important. So that's why I was looking for this link, creating and managing the processors. So our generic tendency will be when we set up the project in document AI, we'll go and select the default processor, which is the document OCR processor, and then we'll see that it's not reading the tabular data in a proper way, and we'll be wondering why that is happening, because document AI says it can read the forms and tables, but why is it not reading? So the simple answer to that is we must be careful while selecting the processor. So as we can see here, it's also important to notice here the processors are many and varied. So first of all, we have generic processors, the document OCR and the form parser. So the form parser extracts form elements such as texts and checkboxes, and basically the tabular data, which is a generic form parser. But if we have a specific type of form which is obtained here, available here, already Google has trained it. For example, the 1040 form, which is available in the US, or some other types of forms, and this list is getting augmented almost on a daily basis. Not daily, but very regularly. So even last time when I saw, I didn't see so many options, and a few months back. So we can see a US driving license parser, passport parser. So if you have a very specific requirement which matches with this, we can try that. But in other cases, what we have seen, the form parser works very good, and it's important to choose that. So once we choose that, we can basically use the code snippet which is given by Google. We can see that the repository, mm, Google Document AI Python example Git. Oh, I think it should take me. Yeah. So this is a good Git repo which Google has provided, document AI samples, and we can see lots of examples over here which are showing the code, how to use the document AI, Google Cloud document AI samples. So there are various types of codes over here, generic form parser, OCR, quality, all those things, driver license, passport, USA, and all that, the code labs and everything. So basically, we have adapted the code from this only. This is open source code. And we can see that basically when we set up the code, there are a few things we have to provide at the top of the Python file. Basically, my project ID, which is my Google console, the project that I set up in the Google Cloud Console. So that's what we have done here. This is my project ID. The location, we can give it US. Processor ID. This is the processor that we have set up. And each processor, which I was talking about, the form processor, each processor has a processor ID on the console. We have to give the processor ID for which we basically have in our Google console. MIME type is application or PDF. So basically we are using directly PDF files over here. So once we do that, we can set up our code, which is basically, there are these methods are provided in this open source code sample, which says get table data, text anchor to text, process document form sample, and things like that. So basically what it does is process document, it takes this parameters. Process document is the first method that's called, which is, and this process document is basically a method here, which basically establishes the Google client, document AI client, with the client options, right? And basically it then opens the file, the PDF file, and it reads the file. Now, although it's the name of the file is an image, it's a PDF file which we are supplying here. So it loads the binary data into the document API AI raw document object, configures the request, and it now processes the document and gives out a result. And the result document is what is returned from this particular method invocation. So this document dot text is what gives the text. Now here is what happens then. we just it this basically this document object has properties like pages, so it shows how many pages the document has. So it loops through the document pages, and for each page it can check for each page how many tables are there for table in page dot tables. So this structured information, Google converts that raw document into this structured information automatically for us, and we can get the number of columns, number of rows. We can say see the table, how many columns and how many rows are there. We can print that out, and we can also get the table data and basically create a data frame out of it with the columns and the row values. And once we get the data frame out of it, we can write it to a particular CSV file. So if there are multiple pages, we can write to multiple CSV files. So that is one part. It gets the tabular data. It also gets the form fields in the page.form field. So this is the key value pairs like the invoice number, invoice date, things like that, which are not within a table, but maybe in the header or maybe in the footer of the document. And we can get those name value pairs using this construct, and we can see those values, and we can basically put these values in a JSON dictionary and put it into a JSON file. Here what I'm doing is, if there are multiple pages, normally it is seen all these header values will be there in the first page. So if I equal to 1, I'm extracting the form fields and putting it into a header JSON, which is here. And that is the thing that is happening. The JSON dict is being written to a using json.dump into a header JSON file. So that is what finally the output of this particular code, which is provided by Google open source. It basically reads that PDF file. So I'm supplying this PDF file as a parameter to this program Python code, and the folder where it's supposed to write the output. So here is a PDF file which I have. This is the invoice. It is an invoice. You can see one of my latest book collections from Schroff Publishers. This is the book I bought, and you can see a basic information here. So how do I extract this information into a structured format, into a CSV file? That's what we are trying to achieve here, right? So the first thing that we do is we basically create the export this Google application credential. So whenever we want to use a Google Cloud API, this is the first important thing that we have to do. Once we download the JSON file from the Google Cloud Console, we put it in a particular folder, and we just point to that folder and say export Google application credentials equal to this particular JSON file. As simple as that. So once we do that, we are all set to run the Google Cloud API. So this is the code that I showed, docai table.py. It takes 2 arguments. So I'll run this Python doc AI table. So the first argument is a PDF file, which is this input slash invoices dot PDF, which is a PDF in the file that I showed. And my output has to go into the test folder. So I've given that. So once I run this, Google Document AI is working on this PDF and trying to extract the tabular values and the form fields. So we can see that it has got certain tabular values. These are the columns. It found one table with 4 columns and 6 rows. Now some of these may not be exactly matching our expectation, because although it's trained on many documents, still our invoice, our document may be a little different from what it's trained with. So we might have to do some post processing to correct this information, right? As long as our PDF layouts are standardized, we can do that. So we can see that item description, price, discount, tax, amount, these are the columns it has found. And basically these are the things it has got, some of the information in the row level. So this is, we have put it into a CSV file. And form fields, it has got some 11 form fields. So order date, the total, what is the discount, how is the payment type, what is the subtotal, what is the shipping, all that. This particular thing is wrong. It's saying my name and my address. Of course, that there's no form field like that. Why it's getting that is basically it thinks that this is a form field, and it thinks this is a value for that. Order number is fine, and the name of the book it has got. So what we are doing is we are doing some processing operation over here, process CSV, where basically what I'm doing is I'm picking up the basic information like uh, the the amount and the item description, and I'm renaming some columns, and basically renaming some column because some of the column names are not proper. I can see that it has got the tax value, but the column name is not proper. So I'm renaming that column, and the description is coming in multiple columns, so multiple rows. So I'm just adding that to get the proper description of the book, and so that's what I'm doing. And once I'm doing that, I'm writing into a proper structured CSV called invoice.csv. So this is the post processing I was talking about. We might have to do certain corrections on the table data that is extracting. It sometimes it may be very accurate, sometimes it may be 80% accurate, 60% accurate, depending on the uh, how the things are laid out. So this particular case, we can see the table is not very well structured. There are no row or header, the separators are not there and things like that. So it's got a little bit confused, and I'm doing some amount of correction, not too much. The code is not too big. And from this CSV, which I got from the raw document, I'm writing into the invoice.csv. So that's all that there is. And then I can run my Streamlit uh, application to show this demo. So this is where my Streamlit app is running. So it says invoice extraction app. So I select this invoice. And once I select this invoice, I can see that it has got this order date, total, discount, payment, shipping, subtotal, all those things, and my address and everything. And here I can see it has got the three form fields that I was looking for: the tabular values, the item description. This is the book name, hands-on machine learning with scikit-learn and TensorFlow. This is the price, this is the subtotal, this is the discount, and this is the final total. So I can then basically use a Streamlit AG grid operator to just download this information into a CSV file. I can say press, and let's see if we can see that it came up as a CSV file in a very nice structured format, which I can item description, amount, net amount. So I can use this now going forward in some of my other business processes as I need. So it's as simple as that. And in the Streamlit app, I am basically use the AG grid operator over here to basically the processed CSV file. I'm just opening that. So this is my processed CSV file and the processed header.json, which is what I'm opening and showing it in my UI, which is done using Streamlit. So you can see here the test/invoice.csv, and I'm using the my AG grid, the Streamlit form with the grid options builder, and then the grid options builder.configure, and then with st.form. This is the grid response is the AG grid. This is the AG grid component which I'm using, where I'm supplying this data frame which I've read from the processed CSV which I just now showed. So this has a option of downloading the data or even correcting the data. I can even go and correct this data if I think that's not correct. That's another part of it. So let's say I want to correct something here. I can say submit, and I can say press dot. So let's see. So we can see that this correction has gone through. I'm submitting it to the form before downloading it. So we can see the corrected value has gone through 2000. So that is also possible to edit the data and correct it in this particular case with the Streamlit facility of AG Grid. We can download it as a CSV. So this is what Python-based UI provides, and it's directly interfacing with the results of the Google Document AI. So with that, I conclude my session today. Just found this very interesting Google Cloud Vision API, which is not very regularly used. I mean, people who are using it regularly, they know, but for some, it may not be. And even if we know the document AI, we may not know which processor to choose, which we face some problems initially. So just wanted to show that. Thanks all. Thanks for listening.